Hi there folks, this is Lyri Lee bringing you a special video on DC's Trinity War for Vanishing Chronicles. The Trinity War is the latest in a proud tradition of crossover stories over at DC Comics. The first of these type of crossover stories was Crisis on Infinite Earth, which debuted in 1985. Other crises involved over the years. You had Infinite Crisis in 2005 and Final Crisis in 2008. Besides the Crisis storylines, we also had other crossover stories like No Man's Land that had a big impact on the DC universe. Then there were Blackest Night, Brightest Day and Flashpoint to name some of the biggest of these stories. What these stories have in common is that they are not limited to one series. These stories start in one series, say Green Lantern, and then spills over into another series, say Batman, or Action Comics affecting part of sometimes the whole DC universe. So we have to buy different series to get the whole story. If that isn't clever marketing, I don't know what is. But it works, and you get stories with real impact, and it is a great way to get you involved into series you otherwise wouldn't have read. So the Trinity War is the latest in that tradition. What makes the Trinity War special is that it is the first big crossover story within the New 52 universe. You see, 2 years ago, in 2011, DC rebooted its universe following the Flashpoint storyline. This was an attempt to make their comics accessible again to new readers who didn't know where to start. The new DC universe was labeled the New 52, and in it every series started with issue 1 again. Trinity War is written by Jeff Johns, who seems to have become the go-to guy for these kind of big stories. Jeff has previously worked on such storylines like Infinite Crisis, Blackest Night, Brightest Day and the recent Flashpoint. The Trinity War is shaping up to be quite a complex story, so let me lay out the main players. There are 3 Justice Leagues involved. There is the Trinity of Sin, and then there are the villains operating behind the scenes. So let me start with the Justice Leagues. In the New 52, what used to be the Justice League of America now became just the Justice League, with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman, Green Lantern and Cyborg on the roster. So this team really comprises of DC Comics A-list superheroes. They formed under the banner Justice League and not Justice League of America. Keep this in mind, this will be important later on. The New 52 also featured a second Justice League, which was very different in nature. The Justice League Dark. This Justice League Dark was assembled by Madame Xanadu and originally comprised of John Constantine, Zatanna, Deadman and Changing Man, but the team seems to have a revolving door policy as members came and went over time. For example, Zatanna and Changing Man left while Frankenstein and Black Orchid joined. As you can tell by looking at this roster, this band of misfits is not your typical Justice League, but someone started calling them the Justice League Dark, and the name stuck. Finally, there was a third Justice League formed by busy little beaver Amanda Waller. Yes, this is the lady who also manages the infamous Suicide Squad. She distrusts the Justice League and, under the motto of "Who watches the Watchmen," she decided to put together a Justice League of her own, the Justice League of America. The team comprises of John Johns, the Martian Manhunter, Green Arrow, Steve Trevor, Catwoman, the new Green Lantern Simon Baz, Hawkman, Katana, Vibe and Stargirl. Each member of this JLA was specifically chosen to counteract a member of the Justice League. John for Superman, Catwoman for Batman, Katana for Wonder Woman, and so on. This officially sanctioned version of the League was put together as a counterforce in case the first Justice League turns against us. Next up we have the Trinity of Sin. Besides these Justice Leagues, there are 3 immortal individuals involved in the Trinity War who are collectively known as the Trinity of Sin. They are the Phantom Stranger, the Question, and Pandora. All 3 were convicted by a council of wizards for committing a transgression with big consequences. As punishment, they were given eternal life so that they can suffer for eternity. The first of these sins was committed by a young woman who lived around 8000 BC, somewhere in Macedonia. One day, when she's out in the forest, she finds this skull-shaped box lying around. She picks it up, out of curiosity, and in doing so unwillingly sets loose the 7 deadly sins on the world. She's now known as Pandora, and over the millennia, she has been training herself in combat skills and magic in order to one day be able to right her wrong. The second one is the Phantom Stranger, a man who betrayed his friend for 30 pieces of silver, implying that he was in fact Judas Iscariot. As punishment for this sin, the coins were grafted into his skin, forming some sort of necklace. He also has to wear the cloak of the man he betrayed. He was turned into the Phantom Stranger, a creature with immense power, but because he has no real connection to the world, he is always a stranger, always lonely. There is a voice, presumably God's, that sends him on missions, usually leading to the betrayal of the people he is sent to help. In this way, he is forced to relive betrayal, but if he succeeds, he gets rewarded by losing a coin. So in a way, he can work off his debt. Finally, there is the question. It is not known yet who he was or what he did to deserve the punishment he got. As punishment, his facial features were removed, and he constantly questions everything, including his own identity. He is not very fond of the Phantom Stranger, who he tried to have killed with a spear of destiny. He is currently obsessed with the question, who is the evil behind the evil? All three members of the Trinity of Sin have their reasons for being involved in the events of the Trinity War. Pandora wants her box opened so she can put the sins back inside. The question can't rest until he figures out who is pulling the strings, and the Phantom Stranger with his powers can see where it is heading, but he can't intervene directly. Last up is the secret society of supervillains. No superhero story is complete without a villain, and indeed there is a villain mastermind at work here, setting the events of the Trinity War in motion. This mastermind is apparently part of the secret society of supervillains. We're not sure who he is exactly, but he seems to have a lot of influence, controlling the events like pieces on a chessboard. It is also still unknown what his endgame entails. So, what sparks the events of the Trinity War, you ask? There are roughly two events that serve as catalysts to the Trinity War. The first is Pandora seeking out Superman. She believes only someone pure of heart or black of heart can open the box again. So she finds Superman believing he has no evil in him and shoves the box in his hands. It does something to the Man of Steel, but it doesn't open the box. The second catalyst is Shazam flying over to Kahndaq with the ashes of Black Adam. Since Kahndaq is not keen on outsiders flying into its territory, this raises some red flags. Both the Justice League and the Justice League of America go after Shazam in order to avoid an international incident. Things quickly take a turn for the worse when Superman unwillingly unleashed a fatal heat vision attack upon Dr. Light. This act pretty much set off the events of the war. So what is the war about? The war is mostly about the heroes trying to figure out what is going on, and what caused Superman to viciously attack Dr. Light. As opinions differ, the heroes get more and more divided, showing they're only human too. Well, not Superman, because he's from Krypton, and not the Martian Manhunter, because he's from Mars, but you get the idea. And where is it all heading? I don't know, but it can't be good. We saw that Madame Xanadu had a vision of the future, in which Batman, Superman and Wonder Woman were overlooking the world burning and in ruin. So it seems the Trinity War is going to have catastrophic consequences. It has been revealed that the events of the Trinity War will lead into the Villains Month in September, which will feature a storyline called Forever Evil. Forever Evil will revolve around the secret society of supervillains. At any rate, the Trinity War is going to seriously weaken the position of the heroes of the DC Universe, an opportunity the villains are not going to let go to waste. Final question, guys, why should you read it? There is a lot of drama, intrigue and mystery going on in the pages of the Trinity War. Watching the heroes bicker and get divided is really interesting to behold. There's also some interesting mystery going on. Who is the evil behind the evil? Where does Pandora's box come from and what can it really do? What happened to Superman? I'm certainly dying to find the answers to these questions. This concludes this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Check out our website vanishingpointchronicles.com for more news and updates. See you next time. Bye!